Hello everyone. We are here today with a player who is known as having the best micro in the entire game itself, and that is Vortix. And he's up against his opponent Numadon, and the matchup we're featuring today is the Delhi Sultanate versus the Malians. This is a very classic matchup that has gone through some significant changes over the last little while, so I wanted to take the time to spectate, to cast it a little bit, and also to take a look at the strategic decisions at the highest possible level here on the map Gorge. So let's jump right into things. Again, we have Input Lag Hate Club President in the blue, and that is Vortix as the Delhi, versus Numadon in the red as the Malians. Both of these extremely high Conqueror players, some of the best in the game to ever do it. Now, this matchup used to be extremely favored towards Delhi. They had a significant advantage in terms of massing units, and it was very much on the Malian player in order to out-micro their opponent using the javelin throwers and the Donzo spears, but it was a very difficult and uphill climb for that side, and the Delhi had a or a much easier time, I think, moving towards the victory. In this case, things have changed. Ever since things have moved to more of a professional scouts meta, the Malians being able to bring in deer towards their town center, the Delhi focusing more on that on the scholars as opposed to the Tower of Victory, buffing up their attack speed. As a result, it's kind of started to twist a little bit towards the Malian favor, where they seem to have a bit of an advantage in terms of massing units and potentially out-pushing the Delhi in this case. Or at the very least, it's much more even than it used to be, which is what you love to see in this game that continues to evolve that we love so much. So we're going to speed things up here a little bit. You can see that Vortix has gone out onto the mill for the berries. He has all of his upgrades queued immediately, as you would expect. You think he's going to go up for 2 or 3 onto the gold, and then what I normally do is I rally onto the sheep. You can see he's doing the same thing on this side. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Numadon has done a fairly large complement of 6 houses, which is a single straggler tree chopped. And now he has just this villager. He's going to collect 10 gold, walk back to the town center, and then go back into gathering food. Just a little bit of a micro optimization there for you Malian players. You can just gather a little bit of gold here, come back. That way you're not wasting as much walking time. It's just bringing resources back with you as opposed to walking back all on your own. In terms of scouting patterns, you can see that Vortix has chosen to go out to this far side and then kind of cut back onto Numadon's side on this front. That's a very aggressive scouting pattern, but one that can be used by the Delhi because they don't have to go back to drop off their sheep in the same way that the Malians do, because they are getting their food from these berries. Now we see the Dome of the Faith coming up, a classic. Again, he's building it 2 tiles away from his town center just to provide that little bit of extra space for his farms. And he's moved all of the villagers he had on the sheep onto the wood. He's rallying onto the wood, and he also pulled 1 villager off of gold to move onto the wood as well. Because you don't need 3 on gold, you only need 2 on gold to maintain relatively consistent scholar production out of the Dome of the Faith. Numadon managed to grab a fairly large complement of sheep himself, 12, which is fairly well done. Mansakori going up with 5. I tend to go up with 4, but if you're wanting to rush things more significantly, and again, these players know better than me, so I'm looking to learn, looking to kind of break down some of these micro decisions to see why and see how that provides them with an advantage as they continue forward into the game. We'll speed things up just a little bit. Immediately moving into forestry here as well, just taking advantage of that little extra downtime before you hit the feudal age when you're going to want to switch to double broadaxe and researching that technology. And now we are instantly here to the next stage. He cancels out of Piety and moves immediately into Sanctity, which is what you want to do on your mosques. And of course, you can see he's now swapped double broadaxe. These people are the absolute best of the game. They're not going to be making those little mistakes whatsoever. And he already has a scholar in queue and ready to be tossed into the Dome of the Faith. Mansa Quarry is now up. And we see 2 scouts. These guys are actually pushing the deer in, recognizing that the deer was close enough, and he's just using these 2 scouts and taking advantage of this wood line here to press the deer into the town center, which is a very smart thing to do. Is choosing to bring up 3 onto the gold at this point. But where does this game go from here is the question. Instantly comes out with a stable. I'm going to assume that there's going to be a scholar popping in there at some point soon. Maybe not, in order to increase the production speed of that building. But this horseman, or this Ghazi Raider, is immediately rallied directly across the map towards the pip mine to start causing some problems. And the scout is accompanying as well. And very successfully with two Vanguard scouts able to bring that deer in. And who needs the research technology? And in fact, he's not even going for professional scouts in this case. He's simply starting to mass up units. You can see the Donzos and Javelin Throwers starting to be used. And Numadon is using his Javelin Toss, or these Spear Tosses, to try and force Vortix off of the gold mine there. And immediately popping out 3 Scholars, and all of them are walking directly to the Sacred Sites to begin taking those. And again, Delhi gets double gold from Sacred Sites, so this really helps them speed their age up towards the Castle Age. You can see that Vortix is choosing to prioritize professional scouts, followed by survival techniques, and then horticulture in his mill, because he does want to go for that professional scouts play. Unfortunately, 1 deer pack is already gone and will never be taken by him, unless he chooses to do the craziest dive under a town center I've ever seen. And this is a very smart idea. So Gorge is not a particularly great map for the Malians because you have to travel so far outside of your base in order to build that second pit mine. But you can see there's a decent force of army here looking to defend this as it goes up. But that being said, the one disadvantage of being a little bit more passive on this front is that now Vortix is enjoying complete control of 3 Sacred Sites and a huge influx of gold coming his way. You can see 1 scout is coming this direction to try and stop that. It is just the Ghazi Raider so far. No, that is wrong. Archers are also on the way. And he's going for the barracks. So he's going for the 1, 2, 3 special in the Feudal Age, wanting a fairly large assortment of all the different kinds of units you could possibly have. This is going to be stopped. There will be no decap here. However, a couple of tosses, very low Ghazi Raider, and maybe this Sacred Site will be decapped. While this Vanguard Scout tries to cause some problems, these archers immediately move forward. And you can see we're up to a fair number of Scholars now. 5, 6, 7, 8 have been created so far. And 2 Blacksmiths. What is his order of technology? He wants Iron Undermesh first on one, and he wants Steeled Arrow on the other. So he's going for ranged defense and ranged attack immediately from 2 separate barracks. Continuing to build up the forces and try to bring the deer now back to the base. You can see he has almost immediately moved his villagers onto those deer carcasses to take advantage of the increased gathering rate. Successfully stops that decap attempt. However, 2 Sacred Sites now going down. This does mean that Vortix will not have a ton of gold trickling in, but I don't know if he's too worried. Right now focusing on that combination of all 3 unit types, archers, Ghazis, and spearmen. And we're going in for a fight right here. Losing 1 Ghazi, maybe 2 Ghazi Raiders there, I think. That might have been actually the Vanguard Scout that went down on the Malian side. We have 2 pit mines, a little bit unlucky with this tree line here, meaning you can't quite get a full surround of the houses. A slow Calboom happening at this point. 2 barracks, 2 archery ranges, a 3rd barracks coming up. A 3rd archery range over here, I should say, as well. So really looking like they might be kind of committing to some feudal pressure back and forth here. Vortix choosing to do textiles, recognizing that he is being a bit risky with these villagers here. So having that that technology to boost his villagers' defense is going to be useful. But man, the military numbers, and I know the Scholars count as military, but it's a pretty significant lead for the Input Lag Hate Club president himself. And again, trying with some raids. Managing to do a fair amount of damage onto this pit mine, but it is not burning, so it is just going to be fine. And continuing to generate that passive gold. And here is what the Delhi love about Gorge. It's very easy to segment off the map using your essentially army, because they can build those wood walls. You can create a nice easy wall here, a nice easy wall across on this side as well, and then simply walling off the middle, and then you have a very 50-50 split between the two. Now here we go, big fight happening at this point. I would say the micro from Numadon is really strong at this point. He's done a significant amount of damage, and I feel like Vortix wasn't even really able to touch the army of the Malian player at all. But it's okay. He's choosing to walk back, recognizing that now's not the time to push, because now is the time to age up. We're going up with the House of Learning for our Castle Age landmark. Continued boost of production. Significantly more production for the Malian player right now. But that being said, Vortix has somehow successfully recaptured all the sacred sites during that small bit of chaos. He was able to gain that advantage back, leaving one hardened Donzo behind, and taking this time to maybe press the advantage. You're recognizing that Vortix is pulled back. Maybe you're thinking an age up is the cards. You now see it, probably. And now you choose to push in, potentially, or at the very least, do some damage, burn down this stable. Split off 2 javelin throwers, heading off in a different direction. And you can see that Vortix has got his scholars already prepped and in prime position to be collecting these relics immediately upon hitting Castle Age. He is choosing to engage here, right outside of his base. And then bringing them back into the town center, 11 villagers inside. Does manage to burn down that stable, so no more Ghazi Raiders coming out, and the Lancer is the only one that is here. Now also poking at the scouts that are bringing back the remainder of the deer on this far side. In fact, using these javelins to block out this last of the deer pack. Is going to be able to snipe out some of these scholars, but at the same time, you know, you're not getting that relic back. I hate to break it to you, but that is a simple pop out, pop back in with the scholars that are remaining. It is now man-at-arms that are coming out. You know, take advantage of the fact that you have the armored units while your opponent does not at the moment. Coming around the backside with the Ghazi Raiders. Numadon recognizing this. Maybe a bit of an early Wololo, but at the same time, that does completely pincer Numadon. Vortix brings his Ghazi through onto the javelin throwers. These archers are absolutely picking off the Donzos, and there's enough javelin throwers left that this is going to be a pretty significant cleanup, I think, on this side. Man, really smart idea to bring the Ghazis around the backside of the fight, use the Wololo to prevent him from continuing along in that direction, and Numadon gets pincered. And this is why he is one of the best in the games when it comes to microing and just trying to figure out creative ways to, you know, take fights where he might have been potentially in the, behind in terms of army count. Continuing to press forward with a large mass of man-at-arms. All of the upgrades now coming through as well for free. The Grand Fulani Corral is coming up on a fairly large amount of cows in that surround. But look at this. Vortix with 14 around the town center with that professional scouts. And now he's able to press in. Numadon is going up to castle, but is it a bit too late? It's going to be a pretty significant commitment from Vortix. Numadon making the correct choice to move into the Musafati warriors to deal with the man-at-arms. The one benefit of the Malians is that they can deal with those man-at-arms in feudal age pretty much more effectively than most other civilizations can. Huge amounts of production coming out this early on. And at this point, there's no idle villagers. Numadon recognizing that he can push this force back just with the amount that he has. Pretty smart idea. Vortix not yet coming over to collect this relic, but he has 4 of the 5. And he's continuing to rally and now is kind of gathering up his army more significantly in this section. And I'm assuming he's doing a bit of a full court press now from all of his different buildings. All of the upgrades are coming in now for castle. At this point, the timing has kind of come through. The military count is looking like a pretty significant advantage. And this huge mass of archers is going to be so effective at dealing with these Musafati warriors. It's going to be a tough hold on Numadon's side. It's just clean gameplay. Every single move is purposeful. Every single move is moving you in the correct direction forcing your opponent to respond, and these guys are so quick at responding in the correct way back and forth. There's a reason why they're, you know, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of points above us all. Wow, look at this. Even grabbing the final deer here, the professional scouting continuing all the way to the 18-minute mark, making sure to squeeze every last drop of benefit from across the map. There's a single deer left, and that's it. Everything else is being taken advantage of. And here we go. Bit of a fight now on this side. There's a lot of javelin throwers left, but this is a fairly decent mass of man-at-arms that are going to get on top of these ranged units. A smart idea to run these guys back, wait for the javelin throwers to thin out the numbers a little bit, and then run back in. Recognizing he has to fight in order to protect the villagers on this pit mine. And it's just a full rally. Both of them just clashing. Villagers very equal between the two. There's no idle time on the TCs here. Soon additional range coming in for the archers as well is going to be very beneficial. I think he has, Vortix has grabbed three stables now to bring those Ghazi Raiders in to deal with those pesky javelin throwers. But this is a decent mass of Musafati now, and they're veteran at this point. Also maybe considering a switch into Sofa with imported armor. And again, Vortix knows where to press, knows where the weak points are. He doesn't have to push under this town center. He can just take his time and deal with these pit mines first. This pit mine up, but obviously Numidan recognizing that he doesn't have control of this side of the map. There's not enough time to build the houses around the outside. And at this point, a keep is coming up. A sacred site victory is approaching in the next 9 minutes, and Vortix has successfully grabbed all 5 relics. So if you're Vortix in this position, you have a pretty significant lead. You don't need to end the game at this point. You could, and he's considering diving kind of very aggressively underneath the TC. So what do I know? This guy seems to want to not rest on his laurels in any way, shape, or form. There's a couple villagers, I think, fighting in that mass. He brings the wood villagers around and recognizes that he has to get them into the TC to try his best to cause problems. What am I saying? The best to ever do it does not need me. I mean, there's an argument of whether he's the best to ever do it, but he certainly doesn't need any feedback from me to kind of take a break or take a step back. He knows that he has the ability to press in. He can destroy these enclosures, kill the cows, and just continue to rally his units essentially directly into the base, and also has a very forward keep now to protect these gold villagers. I'm assuming he would probably want to get village fortresses, but I think that Vortix, the Input Lag Hate Club president, no input lag for him here today. He has very simply run straight through Numidan and proving why Delhi is one of the most powerful civilizations at the moment. That is for sure. He can literally sit under here with these completely upgraded man-at-arms, killing these cows, and at that point, Numidan recognizes what we all recognize as well. The game is over. It's interesting to see a game like that from such a high level because they didn't do anything necessarily different from the decisions that I would make, other than the fact that they executed them so much better. Like, it's truly insane. There was nothing there in terms of the build order that I didn't recognize. It was like, oh, that's surprising to me. That's shocking. Oh, how did he consider that? It was just a much more effective execution of securing those sacred sites, building up that force, recognizing the timing that he had to go castle, absorbing that pressure in the early castle while his upgrades are coming in, using his armored units to push back that force, collecting all the relics behind the scenes, just able to do all those small little things all at the same time. And that's what makes these guys much better than the rest of us, but always worthwhile checking them out to try and see what it is that they've done and what we can emulate potentially in order to make ourselves a little bit better as we go forward. So thank you so much for watching this. Really appreciate it. There's more AoE 4 content coming, so hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.